Alright, chat. I think we're live. Alright, let's start. Oh man, it has been a minute since we have streamed, but we're so back today, bringing you ADV Draft League. What's up, Sin? Took a little bit of a break, but we're back. I gotta get back into ADV Draft League, the second tournament of the circuit for ADV Draft League has started. Pools are now. I don't know how much content I'm going to do for that one. Probably not a lot, but because I think the owner of that tournament, or the admin of that tournament, is going to do their own. So unlikely to see much of that, unless it's of my own games, of course. But hey, we got Emerald Open still cooking. Let me know, chat, if the audio is good as well. As I said, because I haven't streamed in a while, dude, I don't know what it is. My settings on my mic has been like super screwy recently. So I don't know between all that. The music might be loud too. I don't know. Lots of like different things. So just let me know if everything is as expected. So we have 12 games today. I don't think there was a few activity claims in, or there's one activity claim I think in losers bracket, which we won't be covering losers bracket today. We might at some point, though we have 12 games, the 8 top 16 games and the 4 top 8 games so far, and then we might do a losers bracket stream at some point. Act in top 16 is so sad. I think it was in losers bracket side. I'm pretty sure it was Zugu as well, which was truly a generational moment for Zugu of all people to claim. So shout out Zugu Royale for doing that. That's a goat. What time? All right, we'll give a minute more for people to get in here. To start the stream before we get into the first game, we got Puff Droney versus Dusty Dustnor to start us off with. This is all as well with their redraft. So at this point, we have completely different teams to what we've seen so far throughout the tournament. The 16 players redrafted a blind redraft of their teams. So we should see. I would say that makes the team a little bit. Those makes the team, I wouldn't say worse. I think you'll not see any of the super overpowered teams that you might have seen in the tournament leading up to this point. But certainly all the teams we would expect to be good despite that. Zugu did get an act win in like the losers bracket side, I think, at some point. It was just really funny because he's been very fortunate with activity wins prior to that. To pull one out for himself is epic, to say the least. Shout out Zugu. All right, well, we got our first game here. I don't know how long I want to keep this. When is qualifying today for the Formula One? I have no idea what time it would be. It looks like I can't really tell. I mean, the whole schedules are probably screwed anyway because of the rain. So that's my goal. I want to get to watch that after this stream. So let's get into the first game. Droney versus Dusty Dustnor. Let's see. Starmie Dragonite from Droney is like kind of a new kind of classic start, right? Like on the back wheel, I think Droney was 8th in his pool. So this is like kind of a classic back wheel to pick up. Dusty Dustnor has Metagross as kind of one of the early round picks. Jolteon really, really good. Might not be that... it actually looks okay in this matchup. You can run like a hidden power. The problem is Dragonite and Fortress make you want to run different hidden powers maybe. Though T-Bolt is probably enough damage to one of them. I'm not sure. Luckily, Sceptile gets hit by both of those hidden powers, so that part's actually fine. This looks like an okay Medicham matchup. Medicham does have like a lot to fight through here, but let's just get right into the battle here. Drony's going to lead Tauros. Tauros is a pretty good lead here. There is obviously a very limited switch-ins to Double Edge here. Ooh, but Absol just trades with counter. So a lead, I assume, maybe trying to catch Tauros or Dragonite lead here with the Absol. And a really, really good lead. And it looks like we're just going to trade off the Absol. Absol trade for the Tauros. Decent trade there to start off. And kind of help simplify the game a little bit. Especially where, like, Donphan over time, you probably don't want to use your Donphan too much to answer Tauros. D-Knight was my only Mon EO that I actually liked. Yeah, D-Knight is super good. I've used it I don't know how many times I've used it. It's not on my team this time around, unfortunately, for the current ADV tournament that's going on. But it's a super awesome mod. It's definitely, like, continued to kind of grow up the power rankings, or the... People have certainly been rating it higher and higher over the last little bit. I just got sunlight by Nats. Alright, so Charizard comes in. Ooh, just straight up HP Rock, I assume, there. With the Sceptile, yeah, because we're SD. Ooh, okay, a lot going on there. So HP Rock kind of baits that Charizard in, takes it out immediately. We go for the SD, kind of knowing that we can live this, and I assume we have some sort of move to hit this Ludicolo after to maybe kill it, or at least put massive damage on it. But a big crit here. Certainly unfortunate for Puff, and now Dragonite can get to come in for free. Just click. I loved how much you could do. Yeah, I know, it's super fire. Decent chip on the Jolteon as Nidoqueen is able to come out here, just roar it away, and now that thing's at 43%, super low, which makes it super difficult for it to do much the rest of the game. We see the Lumberry burned here by the Ludicolo, so Lumberry probably here to just like take a random T-Wave on like a Rain Dance turn and start going crazy. But now behind the rain, this is really problematic, right? Luckily for Jeroni, right, we got Protect here. Protect's going to be able to help stall these turns out. We probably have Protect on Arcanine here as well. Or we just go for the E-Speed as well. Yeah, E-Speed, I guess, given that it's at literally 27%, is pretty free there. And now that's pretty much effectively kind of forced Ludicolo to only be able to trade for one Pokemon. We are able to get in here with the Starmie, at least. So, like, there's kind of no Starmie switch in at this point, right? Like, what's the last on the team? Like, Donphan, maybe? Or it's Metagross, yeah. The last is going to be Metagross. And Metagross can switch into Surf. And now it's going to have to take a T-Wave here. The Paralyze is a little tough, but like you see, they're taking 41% from Surf. It's definitely not a great thing, especially where they're just going to be able to stay in. You know, take the 41%, they can, you know, Puff can just stay in and attack it. And now, like, the worst case, like, Jolteon can come back in, but, you know, Arcanine just come back out, go for the E-Speed. Medicham should be in range of 2 E-Speeds as well here. Just go for the Flamethrower right away, why not? Alright, we're just not going for it. I guess so we have to play around Fake Out here, right? Do we even have to play around Fake Out? Oh, it's choice as well, it looks like. I feel like we could have just E-Speeded for the victory here. I have a feeling there's something I'm missing from this scenario. Maybe Puff is trolling this or something? I don't know. I feel like there was something that happened here, but... Yeah, I'm not sure about all that. That game, I think Jeroni pretty convincingly won it at the end of that. Obviously, like, the Metagross situation, like getting paralyzed is like pretty tough, but I don't think that actually changes the outcome of the game with Arcanine in the back. So I'm not entirely sure the end result of all of that, but yeah, interesting one to start us off with. Hold on, I'm taking a link here. All right, next we have Megan. No. Megan versus Colored. So Megan's got an interesting team here. I don't know why Firefox is telling me about this. Hold on. I gotta log back in. I haven't streamed in a minute, as you can probably tell. based on how all over the place I am. McMegan, so one of the things that we've seen over the course of this Emerald Open, and I want to do a video on this at some point, is Zapdos has moved up in popularity a lot this tournament. People are a lot more interested in using Zapdos teams. So this is, a Zapdos Dugtrio team, kind of like one of the standard ways to use Zapdos, is to just use Baton Pass, trap things with Dugtrio. Glalie to set up spikes is one of the more premier spikers in the tier. Hariyama, a really good fighting type. Like, this is a really, really well put together team. Here on McMegan's side, kind of a little bit leaning on spikes plus Dugtrio a little bit. There's no super endgame offense. I guess Scizor and Hypno can do some sort of combination of that. And then Klord has T-Tar, Skarmory, Blissey, Claydol. Kind of a OU-ish style feel here. Very much like as kind of take your time, kind of settle into the battle, get spikes up hazards while the opponent's teams with Skarm, Blissey, Claydol, and then eventually win with T-Tar or kind of maybe the Feraligatr here as well. There's a few different win cons. This team does look a little bit susceptible to Dugtrio. If McMegan's able to play the Dugtrio turns well, that helps that you have Zapdos as well to play those turns really well. So, chat, if you're in here, make sure to like the stream as we get going. If you're in here, we only have one like in the stream so far, so make sure to hit the like button. We see big knockoff here early on the lead. A lot of that, I think, is just to get like leftovers off of Skarmory. You kind of think you're going to be into these kind of one of these long games, and so knockoff definitely good at compounding the effect of the sand on your opponent's team as well, because it's going to affect your team. You want to also remove their leftovers to help move that effect a little bit more in your opponent's favor than yours. And now I think we're just going to get into a little bit of a kind of a hazard setup war here to start, right? So we have the spinner here from McMegan's side that's going to be able to help kind of keep the hazards off. Obviously, this is not a lot of damage coming from the Tentacruel, right? Like, we're netting 13% a turn, and if we're clicking on Drill Peck, like if we're clicking Rapid Swim between them, like we're netting 11% in those sequences. So I think realistically, we probably just surf for a little bit. Now, Feraligatr is going to be able to take advantage of turns like that. So we do go for the Rapid Spin here to prevent it from coming in for free and keeping the spike up. Ooh, and we see a raw Ancient Power into the boost is crazy. Into the boost is nasty work. So now we have to go into Hypno. That takes 25%. No double Omni Boost. That might have just been too foolish. We take 62% here, which is not great, but we are able to Thunder Wave the Feraligatr. So Omni Boost Feraligatr. We get a para as well, which is super nice. So kind of crisis averted to start with. We see an SD come off here. Really looking to maximize the damage. It is going to be a little to live to the Thunderbolt, especially with the plus. The +1 Spit F. But that +3 attack Ancient Power, like Ancient Power is not a strong move. Like obviously the Omni Boost is super useful and super powerful in that spot. But like Ancient Power is still a pretty weak move in comparison. Damn, I wasn't the first to the stream. That's all good. Don't worry, you'll never beat Cinerath, unfortunately, to making it to the stream first. That guy's the GOAT in the Wi-Fi draft community. That guy's always on time. So now we get Claydol in here. So now we get to see Klord start to get their spinning off here, right? Now, the one thing that's kind of nice about this spot for McMegan compared to Klord's side is that McMegan's Spiker actually beats Claydol in a sense that like your Ice Beams are actually doing a lot more versus like Skarmory's not really doing much to the Tentacruel when it comes in. Now, obviously Claydol can boom, but I think you'll trade the spinner for the Spiker, especially if you get a hazard up at some point if you're on McMegan's side. So we finally get the knockoff on the Skarmory. This will make the turns with Tentacruel, spinning, and surfing a lot better because you won't lose any of that damage that you try to deal. So that part is going to be super, super useful from their side. Feraligatr is trying to take advantage of these turns with Tentacruel, right? It's able to get a big chunk of damage off here, but we're still able to get the spin off and keep the hazard away. We switch in on the Ancient Power. Another one is crazy, by the way. The second Ancient Power Omni Boost here on the switch to Hariyama. But Hariyama should always outspeed here, though, given the Gen 3 speed mechanics. So, obviously, Troll Omni Boost, but doesn't actually impact the rest of this game. Now we're able to get our Glalie in here for free. Like, Gligar's not putting up a lot of offensive pressure Glalie able to just Ice Beam. Obviously, Skarmory can come in here and take these decently well. But there's no leftovers now, so each bit of damage on the Skarmory is going to be super relevant to the kind of the outcome of this game. And now you just bring in the Tentacruel just to like keep up the pressure with Rapid Spin. And the rest here is super nice because with this thing at super low HP, Skarmory was slowly getting to a point where you could start to like just set up all the hazards and really take advantage of Pokemon like Hariyama at super low HP, Hypno at super low HP, make it so those Pokemon have basically no opportunity to get back into the game. Now Hypno is going to be able to get a wish off here, finds an opportunity on Blissey trying to wish back the Skarmory, so that's another kind of angle here on this team. We don't see, what are we missing here? Breloom and Xatu. We still don't know the last for McMegan's side, right? Like there's still a Dugtrio likely in the back, but like there's still the potential chance for Scizor as well. But at this point, like both of the hazard setters and the spinners are getting back up to full HP. Blissey's able to really facilitate that. So we're kind of going to be in this one for a long time, right? Like this game is certainly going to, we're certainly going to be through this one for a while. Claydol comes back in and now we have rest as well on Zapdos. So I'm guessing, I still don't have a good perspective on what the last one was. We haven't seen a good opportunity for Dugtrio to get baton passed into. We might not even have BP on the Zapdos set, considering it's rest talk. So that means it could be Scizor. Not 100% sure there. Scizor looks actually kind of decent in this matchup once you get rid of the Skarmory, but that's obviously a really tough ask. So now we see Ice Beam come out. Ice Beam allows the Claydol to deal more damage to the Zapdos than it can deal back. And now gets an opportunity finally get this Spike away. This Spike has been here for quite a while. It obviously hasn't had that much of an impact because the only Pokemon that spikes are going to hit are the Tyranitar and the Blissey. But Blissey's going to be super hard to deal with in this battle. And for a Dugtrio in the back to pick it off, you do need to keep that thing low, which Spikes certainly will help deal with a lot here. But I think we're going to be in this one for quite a while, I think. At this point, considering that we have Rest and Wish Pass on kind of either side here. It's going to be really difficult for either team to really find an advantage here, though. McMegan does have the first KO on the Feraligatr. The basic core of this team is still very much intact. Now, we did technically risk crit there. Obviously, that's not something that you think about too much when you're playing in these formats, is risking crits, right? But like, if you think about what are the things that can go wrong, crit is certainly one of the things at this point that can go wrong. And now we also, and one thing, I mean, we have rest like as like kind of like a predominant way to heal on this side, but we also have access to Wish Pass, which should hopefully find us an opportunity to heal some of these Pokemon up. Likely here, baiting out the Psychic. I think, you know, we have seen this move before, but kind of baiting out the Psychic in case they go into something like Hariyama here. I wish I had more to say on this game, unfortunately, but we're seeing a lot of the same turns over and over again, right? Like, in comes Zapdos here, eats up another Wish. And unfortunately, like, if you look at McMegan's team, unless we can get Hariyama in to start getting some HP back, we're really not going to be able to make much progress, especially where Claydol can come out instead of Blissey every time here in this spot. Really like prevents like random free turns, and the Spike is still up. Like there's not a good Hariyama sequence here. I guess in theory this could be one. You know, you can make it a Paralyze and not a Drill Peck at this point, but I think, yeah, the Hariyama is above 12.5, so that's a possibility, but like not worth the risk. And now we lose the Hariyama to the Roar, so that's a big moment here, right? Dugtrio, we have to expect, is the last year, I imagine. But this Blissey became so much harder to deal with now that we don't have the Hariyama to come in and get free offensive pressure on it. Skarmory's still going to be at high HP most of the time, so like you're still going to have to contend with the turns to break through it. But the game just that much more difficult now to actually break through Blissey. As Blissey comes back out here, eats a Surf PP, and is just going to be able to like wish off kind of other random HP as we go Glalie on the Ice Beam. Glalie also starting to run out of HP at this point. It's like McMegan is starting to run out of tools here. Oh, it's got rest as well. Okay, never mind. Problem solved, I guess. Everything is just going to be able to rest for eternity here and really prevent almost anything from going wrong, right? Like, you know, you have to maybe risk a crit or so every once in a while in these sequence, but like rest versus wish pass, especially if you get to a point where you have to start PP selling, you're going to win this sequence, I think, in the end game. We're selling the Mega game. Yeah, welcome welcome to ADV Draft League, right? Like, this is these kind of things where games are going to take a while is going to happen. And luckily, I haven't actually watched any of these games yet, so I don't actually, like, this is new for me as well. All right, whoa, big moment here. We see Claydol explode on the Hypno, and now Blissey trapped by the Dugtrio. So this is kind of one of the main things we were looking for. We see a skill swap here as a way to kind of get the Blissey out of here. So that's kind of interesting. Now we have natural here on the Glalie, which is super funny. You can just sleep talk up and like switch out if you want to. You can like switch out to get the natural cure off, but yeah, it looks like that's what we're gonna do here. Now they would have woken up there. Watched like 20 turns and closed it. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting game, right? Like the Claydol getting the boom off is like super relevant there, and now like we know Dugtrio is the last. And we see the Blissey is skill swap and not counter, which maybe changes our game plan around that a little bit. But, you know, I think at this point we're still kind of in this kind of long game here where we're just going to keep setting up hazards, and we'll probably get to a point where maybe the PP becomes relevant, but we'll see. All right, so we get these spikes away. How much spikes PP? 25. I mean, this thing is paralyzed, so it hasn't used a lot of PP. I think we're way too far away from like actually like doing the math on that at this point. Blissey comes in here. It's going to take a lot, but it's going to be able to wish off in front of the face of this, right? And it's got soft boiled last. So now that we know what this full set, so we can't just like earthquake this. Oh, that makes this game much easier. So our game plan was skill swap instead of counter, which is kind of interesting, right? I mean, obviously the Dugtrio is always scouting for it, but I feel like if we were counter instead of skill swap, we might have had a better opportunity to actually deter one of these like random turns from happening. Where like now you can't even play around crit, right? Obviously, like Dugtrio is gonna have to take 1 million damage to do that. You like skill swap and get out of it, but I think like counter is just gonna be better long term than skill swap. And I think at this point, like McMegan should just be able to win this game, right? All 3 layers of spikes are up. That'll really limit the T-Tar from being able to like completely set up all over something. And I'll certainly put even the most bulky of T-Tars against the weakest of Dugtrios, potentially in range. Claire's saying they threw in the chat, and yeah, unfortunate game I think here. I don't agree with the skill swap prep on this side, and looks like T-Tar is going to try to go for game here, but Dugtrio should be able to come out here, right? Yeah, Dugtrio is just going to come out and be able to deal with this Pokemon. Earthquake just blows that away completely, and now Gligar, last Pokemon, certainly does not have enough in its tool set to beat the rest of these Pokemon. Like Zapdos said, full HP, you'll just be able to prevent this from being a problem. Even this is faster, right? So you can kill this, but Zapdos is just going to be able to come out and drop a hidden power, and then the Gligar is down. So really, really good game this one was. A lot of like back and forth, obviously. Just like the nature of Claire's team, using a lot of like hazard stacking more defensive tools. I mean, Megan, like they had lost a few resources early, but you know, getting the Dugtrio, that, yeah, the Blissey set, I think if it was counter, might have made this gameplay a little bit longer and could have maybe changed our right side's fate here. Hold on, I have to remember who these people are, who these usernames are. I should know most of them, chat, I promise. But so I know this is now. I should have the doc on the other screen as well, because like I mean I could put the pool, the bracket up, but that would defeat the purpose, right? Because then you would see, you know who they're playing. This was Sleepy. Okay, I figured it was Sleepy, but better to be safe, better to be 100% sure, right? Okay, so we see another Zapdos team, Zapdos BP into Arrow, Machamp, super solid core, and then Vaporeon, Regice, Just a really, really solid offensive core. Marowak has shown to be really valuable in this Emerald Open. It has been one of the biggest risers in this tour. Sleepy drafts a team, bro. I feel like I would draft this whole team. I would say outside of Flygon, but I just drafted Flygon in the Vol tournament, which I don't know if I regret the Flygon pick yet. We'll see. I wanted to try it. I feel like I've been like hating on Flygon for so long. I feel like I should actually give it a try. But Raikou Skarmory is a great top 2. Gyarados is obviously awesome. Miltank is a great wall. Misdreavus is really good at like picking up some of these random Pokemon like the Regice or the Hypno. Obviously, Baton Pass can get around that, but let's get into this first game. Big Raikou lead. Machamp lead is a classic lead, right? Like offensively, like this Pokemon just leads super well. We see the switch out here into Regice, so double up on turn 1. We're able to get a big Thunder Wave into the Miltank, but raw, this will be tough. Raw Toxic into the Guts Machamp. Machamp's going to be able to deal a massive amount of damage. We do see the bulk up here in the face of the Gyarados, and Gyarados, you know, the Protect comes out here. I mean, this Rock Slide is going to do a lot, right? But if you take too much damage from this Toxic, even a +1, ooh, we see a Focus Punch. I don't like that. Now he just lost focus completely. Like, we've completely just lost our Machamp here now and gotten no value out of that. So really good for Sleepy here in this spot, just completely taking Machamp out of the game. I probably would have liked to see a Rock Slide there, though. I understand the rationale maybe behind Focus Punching into something like a Flygon coming in. So we see another Toxic here. Marowak comes in hard on the Raikou. We're gonna go for the Focus Punch here. But Gyarados is in the back, right? Like, this Gyarados is just going to be able to eat up this Focus Punch entirely. And it feels like Sleepy's game plan is just kind of working to perfection here, right? Like, we're just Toxic spamming this team. We got rid of Machamp, which was one of the, looks like the best ways for Now's team to make offensive pressure, especially as a bulk up threat. Now, the one saving grace for Now at this point is that this Raikou is paralyzed. So, like, this Raikou is going to have a lot less effectiveness, but, like, even this Double Edge is not doing anything to the Gyarados. And now we're able to get a double into Skarm. I mean, this is not the perfect matchup, right? You know, I guess the crit is also not going to help. We're going to have to use opportunities against Marowak and a lot of Protect turns to get this HP back. But getting up a Spike does help with a lot of the Toxic that you're likely to put around this team. And damn, I'm not big 47%. From the Misdreavus. Looks like we're just going to use Pain Split, try to gain as much of that HP back as we can, and we're all rolled to get to a KO'd here. Now we are obviously, what's it called, leftovers, so it's never going to actually to a KO, but certainly a lot of HP, and you can't do that frequently anymore at this point. Another Toxic comes out here. Regice now Toxic, though we would expect Regice to often carry Rest against pretty much most compositions, so that one we should be able to play around, but this Marowak is completely just running out of options here. Finally catch a Hidden Power on the Gyarados, but at this point with the Toxic and the Spike up, we're almost too late at this point. Aerodactyl can come in aggressively here. Now Aerodactyl has a really good click. Protect is nice here because you kind of have to expect it to be Choice Band. And then out comes the Flygon here. And even if this thing isn't Choice Band, right, it's never going to stay in to kind of meet what the Flygon has. So we get a Substitute off here. Substitute, this will to a KO here as it's forced to break the sub. And now Flygon, look, as much as we hate on Flygon, Flygon is going to be able to make through a lot of the rest of this team here. Aerodactyl can come in, obviously, and threaten a Double Edge, but you can protect that off. And now the Rock Slide comes out from Now, trying to get aggressive on a Predict. And that Protect is really going to help Now's case in winning this game. We get a Substitute off. Now this Substitute might break here. We don't know the exact rolls on this, obviously, but 25% is showing that at least breaks at some percentage of the time. As it does break here, 68%, so this thing is going to stick around. We'll probably see another Protect here as a Marowak tries to get back in, but I mean, this Marowak is just going to die, right? I assume we're just looking to get a free switch into Regice, as it just looks to Double Edge. Yeah, it looks like this Pokemon is not long for this world either. Flygon, dude, Flygon, look, I might be one of Flygon's biggest haters, but it's actually putting in a lot of work here. Raikou comes out, not going to take pretty much any damage from anything Zapdos is ever going to try to do to it. And now there's, I mean, you can go Baton Pass into Regice, I guess. But like the Thunderbolt's going to do 20. You're going to start taking toxic damage. You basically have to rest right here to get any sort of productive turn. And like a Miltank can just come out here and prevent this thing from doing anything crazy. Alright, so we do see the rest. So this game will likely continue for a little bit. And we know that this isn't Parastrap Mischievous, so we can't take advantage of that set with this. But the big heal bell comes off, clears out those paralyzes there, and it now just forfeits. Kind of seeing the writing on the wall. This game might have taken a long time to actually break this Regice, but I don't think there's a win con at this point for now to actually win this game. So good game for Sleepy. Moving on to top 8. Before we get into the next game, if you have not already, make sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel. I think my goal for subscribers, I want to hit 1,000 by the end of the next league. That's obviously very aggressive, but hey, if you haven't subscribed and you haven't liked, make sure to do that. So we got no bull. I assume the 8 is meant to be a bull. It meant to be no bull, right? Versus Evakayama. So let's see what we got going on here with this team. Men's Swampert, Regice, Arcanine. Very, very standard kind of team here. Good spiker here in Qwilfish. We have Lax, Vaporeon, D-Knight. We see Typhlosion. Typhlosion is an interesting one. That was kind of one of my picks coming into the tournament of being one of the kind of breakout Pokemon. It does see itself get drafted here in the redraft. What's up, Glare? How's it going, big dog? It was a Pokemon that I kind of predicted. It is like, it's kind of like the opposite of Waffling, but like still in that same realm, right? Where it had some of the highest kills, had some of the highest damage, but like had a really, really low win rate. Now, I didn't help that by any means drafting it to my team, but certainly a Pokemon that maybe could have performed maybe a little bit better. So let's see here. Big Qwilfish lead, just boom off rip, just end the turn, 2%. On the D-Knight, and that's a really, really good first turn. I could see, I mean, I kind of would have liked Spikes, but I guess you assume Hitmontop is coming here despite, I mean, this is a pretty hostile Hitmontop matchup, though. So maybe you just value the boom on something like the D-Knight to be more valuable than the getting the spike up. We just go for the T-Bolt here. T-Bolt, obviously you have to protect against something like the Dragonite coming in, trying to get all that HP back. And now we see Hitmontop come in. So Hitmontop does actually see the light of day here, just as a rapid spinner to help make life easier for Snorlax, Vaporeon, and the Sceptile. We do see Hitmontop. I mean, this Hitmontop, I mean, this is the problem with Hitmontop, though, right? Like, we were able to get a Toxic off on this Swampert, but this Swampert will have Refresh or Rest assuredly, or it'll just be a subset. I guess that doesn't mean it can't be those sets, right? Because like we're playing a very passive game here. I mean, surely, yeah, we surely have some sort of way to recover this off, right? Oh, we're sub Endeavor. Interesting. Okay, so that makes sense. We're sub Salax, so the Toxic actually very, very useful there, as Vaporeon is able to protect and prevent that Pokemon from doing anything. So this Hitmontop gains a little bit more utility, right? Qwilfish and Swampert down. Regice feeling like it has to stay in, taking a Toxic here. Obviously Toxic trying to hit something like the Arcanine or the Salamence coming in here, not expecting that necessarily to stay in. And then a double Toxic here, actually catching the Mence this time. Super good for Evakayama's side. And now, like, now I'm pretty sure her game plan is just to what, like, just wish off a bunch of these Pokemon, like Snorlax, Vaporeon. Will just have infinite life to really just wear down the opponent's team with Toxic. I think is a reasonable game plan. Pretty free switching for Lax, and now Lax is going to be able to do a bunch of damage here. Obviously, Intimidate Arcanine can come out, or the Golem can come out. Shout out Golem. As we get a curse, as we're just going to start cursing up here. Go for the Protect. Ooh, we get a substitute off here, which allows us to play around something like the Boom, but it's just going to be sub Roar to help play around something like the Curse Laxo. Interesting set, actually. I mean, this is going to break the sub. That makes sense. We go for a sub here, maybe trying to play around a Toxic and try to get a Paralyze there to work in our favor. We go for the EQ. So now we found an opportunity for Dragonite to get some value here. Now, its value is going to be 12% HP on this Arcanine, which gets healed off. of course, but still some potential value here. A good opportunity to get it in, but it looks like Arcanine is just going to try to spam its E-speed its way through here as much as it can. Typhlosion missing the Toxic. It's going to get put into range here. Okay, nice. Another Toxic miss here, and Arcanine going to live to basically see another day, where maybe the Toxic would have really made it difficult over the long term, especially with so few Pokemon. We see the Wish come out here, and this should be able to get the Typhlosion or the Hitmontop back up to full HP. I don't like I guess I don't remember the call for Ice Beam here, but I feel like we go for like an attack there to maybe like pressure one of these random Pokemon from coming in. But I guess if you expect Typhlosion to come in, no, Thunderbolt should have been enough. I guess, well, maybe it's a hard decision there. I'm not 100% sure. But we're able to rest that off with Regice, and Regice is still going to have a lot of, a big role to play in this game, especially where, there's so many Pokemon left that it needs to deal with. I see another Wish come up, but this Wish is surely just going to be caught by the Vaporeon. Vaporeon back up to full HP. And I think Evakiyama should have this, right? Like, at this point, like, we've gotten 2 Pokemon off the start. We've got the men's Toxic that's not going to be able to make a lot of progress in this game. The Lax feels a little bit inevitable, right? Obviously, Charm there is a pretty good tech. Putting this Pokemon at very, very low HP, or very low utility at this point. And with the Intimidate -3, yeah, that Earthquake wasn't doing anything anyway, but Protect here, so Curse, probably last move return or Body Slam then. So no recovery. The recovery is leftovers here on this Curse set. And now we get come in for free on an Ice Beam here. T-Wave is annoying because we aren't Rest, right? So like this T-Wave could put us into situations where are a little awkward, especially against this Golem. Like this Golem looks to at least be designed to like sub up on us and just roar it out every time. Earthquake should break this sub. Yeah, so now Lychee Berry does come out, so now you're at risk of a boom, right? So you'd probably just, you just go Dragonite to play around that. He just goes for the Earthquake though. We're still holding on to that Golem for dear life. And it looks like Dragonite just goes for the EQ, pressures that Arcanine from coming in here. Kind of a pretty good Toxic here actually. Like, if you think about ways that Noble has to, like, come back in this game, Toxic and Vaporeon is probably a decent start. Though I think that Lax just feels inevitable at this point in this battle, especially where Golem wasn't able to make, like, any relevant progress on it. It was able to prevent it from winning, but, like, this Lax should just have the inevitability, I think, to win this game from this point. We have to sack our Ments here to get an Intimidate off, and we can go into Golem, but, like, at this point, like Earthquake or Boom, I mean, neither of those sequences are good. We have to sack now our Arcanine. So we boomed the Dragonite early, didn't kill it, and now Dragonite's really, really putting a lot of pressure here and kind of exacting the final bit of control over the game. So this looks like a 6-0, which is a little bit unfortunate. I mean, I guess if you have Boom, you go for it, right? Yeah, I get a kill. Excuse me, on the way out. And now Typhlosion should just be able to deal with this Regice to end this battle. Obviously, this will wake up over Thunderbolt. So I guess not. We'll get 2 kills on the way out. But after getting boomed in the early game, Dragonite able to hold on and had such a big impact on this. Curious to see what the role is on that, right? Because if this Dragonite's not here, this game could have been very, very different. I still think Snorlax had like the long-term inevitability of this Pokemon, of course. Like of this game, but very, very possible that was not the case. So really, really good game there. Next we have Violet River versus, who is it on? The Jabba, yes. So into this game, Terramaxer is a Fire D-Knight name. That's true. Very, very true. Okay, so we see Raikou team versus Jabba's team. Obviously, like with the blind redraft, we had like a pretty front row seat to a lot of the prepping process. And then if anyone knows Callus is definitely very, very opinionated. So heard a lot of opinions coming, especially out of this draft chat. Interesting team. Ments, Blissey, Hariyama, Alakazam, Blastoise. Steelix is a little bit unfortunate, but like this is a very, very good team comp right here. The team's really good into Raikou. Obviously with the Blissey. Obviously, Steelix can maybe do some stuff in a pinch, but this team doesn't necessarily take advantage of Blissey necessarily to get a situation for Raikou. So let's see how this game goes. Slowbro lead versus Hariyama lead. Go straight for the knockoff here, not even fearing a psychic move. Getting leftovers on this so important, as we see a yawn come out early here. Just double yawning, going for, you know, the sleep pressure. All right, we're just clicking yawn the whole time, I guess. Sure, why not? Is this what we're going to be doing the whole time? Skill swap is interesting. So it looks like we're trying to skill swap the natural cure to make it so the Blissey gets put to sleep, but can't actually, and then can't natural cure it out with the switch out. So really, really interesting tech there. Ursaring comes out, gets the +1 here after the Intimidate, does a little bit of damage to this Steelix. I assume that's going to be part of our game plan here to help ease some of the pressure on Gyarados and Raikou. Is to put pressure on that Steelix. Big double edge here, even at like a -0, right? Is like basically killing the Salamence, and Salamence just sacked off. And now turns in with 8 swaps on one side, yeah. So now Mess is down early, so this game becomes much, much more difficult for Jabba here at this point to actually like break through Violet River's team. Registeel able to come out, wall out this Alakazam here, at least for now. It's going to be a free turn to Hariyama, and we do get a Paralyze, which like this thing could be Guts, which is a problem now. I guess we're not going to see here with the Calc because this thing does get paralyzed, and we do get our Ursaring back in. Ursaring trying to pick up as much damage as it can. 38% on the Steelix is not bad. You'll take that, right? Steelix is now below half. Obviously able to get up a little bit with the leftovers, but you're certainly in a position now where Steelix is going to basically have to fight for leftovers turns against Pokemon like Crobat, which might not be the easiest thing to do. Now we see a yawn here on the Blissey. Unfortunately, if we would have gone for the skill swap there, that would have been fire. Unfortunately, that's not going to work out, and Raikou is just going to start Calm Minding up as Blissey stays in. Which makes sense, right? I guess, like, I mean, you have to Calm Mind, like, up a million times. And now we go into Steelix here, though. HPI should be able to deal 60% at +2. Right? Especially if it's dealing 21% to Blissey. Like, are we in trouble here if we're on Jabba's side with this Raikou now? Like, we need to Toxic it at some point if we have it on our set. Ooh, Seismic Toss is not the most reliable way to manage this. And we even see a Toxic come out from the Raikou, which is going to make these Thunderbolts even that much more effective in this. We go for the HPI, so I guess making a play or a prediction. And we just stay in an Aromatherapy, getting the HP back. And now, but I think at this point, what is Raikou just going to straight up win this game? Like, what do we do here from Jabba's side? Like, I think Raikou just found its spot, and it's just going to be able to get up to +6, and just storm through this team. I guess if you have Encore on Alakazam, you find an Encore turn here. I guess we go into Steelix here on the Thunderbolt, but like, you're just gonna die to this HP Ice. I think our goal is to PP stall it at this point. At least that's what we're trying to do. We sack Blastoise here. We can't even really go into Zam, right? Hariyama can come out here and maybe live at +4. Nah, I can't even do that. It looks like Raikou is just going to be able to take advantage of the Blissey entirely behind that sleep, and just completely dominate this game. So good game for Violet River, really showing the power of Raikou. Obviously, Raikou's stocks are a little bit lower than they used to be in ADV Draft, but certainly showing in that replay there why it's still one of the top tier threats in the format. Our next game is Amana versus Among Us Blaster. Shout out to the name Among Us Blaster. That's a fire name. I am going to step away for 1 minute here to get some water. I will be right back, chat. We'll get back into the rest of the top 16 replays. There we go. Water acquired. It is starting to get into summertime here. It's too hot to not have water. Though I am wearing a hoodie, so I guess that's on me. All right, Among Us Blaster versus Amana. Let's take a look at these teams. Metagross Jolteon. We see another one of these Metagross Jolteon teams. Starmie Gengar where the other Starmie player in this draft went. Maybe maybe D-Knight taken here at some point. I don't exactly remember where these players were seated, but we see Regirock, one of the better Pokemon. That Pokemon is starting to see a little bit more utility. See that Pokemon use a little bit more. And then we have a Medicham. No great way to get into it, though, with Baton Pass, though, which is one of the things I look for a lot with Medicham teams. And then we see a team. This team is really teched out to beat Raikou. Like Jolteon, Meganium, and Camerupt. Like, we're really teched out well for Raikou. Something like Starmie does look like to be a little bit of an issue. Obviously, we can outspeed it with Jolteon, but let's see how this game goes here. Lead Charizard versus Fortress. Really good lead, obviously, for the Charizard side. Overheat, it's still going to deal a massive amount of damage to this Moltres, which is an okay switch in. Wow, that is 41%. We do not have investment in that Rock Slide. That is an embarrassing amount of damage against the Moltres. We are really, really seeing the calcs to their craziest extent here. So we see HP Fire here come out on the Fortress as it sets up a spike here. Meganium, there we go. Good, really good leech seed here. Obviously, Fortress is not going to want to stand. It's going to want to get as many spikes up as possible. But this leech seed is super, super nice to, one, help alleviate some of the HP this Blastoise is going to have to take it in this rapid spin-off. Especially where it's going to aggressively hidden power here on the Starmie. And now you have that option to stay in here, right? Ooh, going for the rapid spin, trying to bait the Starmie into attacking there with like a Thunderbolt. But Chansey comes out, is going to get the T-Wave off, but we have removed the first layer of hazards in this game. Camerupt here, I mean, despite the fact that this thing is not physically oriented, right, on Chansey's side defensively, still taking basically nothing from this Rock Slide. Really just, like, banking on crits here at this point. I'm not sure what we're trying to, like, I guess we're just trying to predict either the Gengar or the Moltres to come in. I mean, time to perfection for Mana, right? Gets the Gengar in. On the Camerupt, on the expected EQ. Goes for the Hidden Power Water. And now Focus Punch Blastoise, able to deal a decent amount of damage to this Fortress. Now, Fortress, obviously, is going to be able to take these every time, but certainly, certainly a good sequence now for the Fortress side, because you're able to set up a bunch of spikes, get the boom off, get a free turn, and now bring in the Chansey. Now, Chansey should just build S-Toss, take the Spiker out of the game here, and now we have to contend with 2 layers of hazards, basically because of those paralyzes, right? Like, that's a really, really good sequence for Mana. We are able to catch the Gengar here with the Rock Slide, deal a little bit of damage, but we do get the prediction right here on the Meganium coming in, get a Sludge Bomb off. That thing is poisoned now. Obviously, if they go into something like the Camerupt, the poison is still pretty good. If we can get it. Now we get the sub up on the Synthesis, and now this thing is in... Oh, we got a crit on the Razor Leaf. Okay, shout out. Yeah, I guess that is a way to break Gengar Substitute. Maybe not the most reliable way, yeah, because this Hidden Power is definitely not breaking Substitute. Now Gengar is going to be able to kill this Meganium and stay behind a Substitute, and there's really not a good option to go into. I mean, you can go into Charizard, I guess, but this thing is going to take a decent amount from this Hidden Power, break the Substitute, but this is a 2 KO here. And now Gengar, I mean, Gengar has been getting a lot of hate recently. It got put down to 13 points in Emerald Open. It's back to 14 now in the full tournament that's going on right now. So I think maybe a little bit of an overcorrection on our part, potentially. But I think, given what Gengar has shown and proven even at 13 points, I think it is still reasonable. The decision that was made pricing-wise. So Camerupt does get a boom off here. It is able to take out the Medicham trying to come in. And now Metagross, that's unfortunate, right? Maybe you're trying to predict the Chansey because Jolteon, leads so well into the Moltres, the Gengar, and the Starmie at this point that you expect the Chansey to be the lead or the Pokemon to come out. But kind of break your ankles there a little bit, trying to go Metagross, and it ends up being the Moltres right there. And now Metagross comes in, able to come in on the Chansey. But now, all right, so now we do see a way to kind of break this a little bit. So we do get the agility off, able to Shadow Ball, kill that Pokemon. But Moltres is at like full HP, right? And this Rock Slide is not able to kill. Wow. But the flinch is massive there on that turn. That is so huge to changing the outcome potentially of this game. We do see Meteor Mash. It's going to do a lot. S-Toss isn't going to kill. And now, I mean, we have to hit this Meteor Mash, right? In comes Moltres trying to bait something. Obviously, you can't bait Flame Body in this generation. Starmie is going to come out. We're really just trying to bait HP back for this Chansey here at this point. Because if it does miss, like it does in this spot, you do want to make sure you're at least at some sort of HP to be able to beat this Jolteon at the end. Because if you're at like 10%, right? Like it's just going to be able to like pick you off. Or like 20% here. Yeah, and now we get those soft boil back up. And we're able to basically win our way through as a result of that miss from the Meteor Mash. So good game there to Mana. Obviously a little Thunderbolt here at the end there. Not going to do too much. And we continue our way through. We see Zugu time here. Double King Jolteon 101 here. True. So we got 2 more games left of our top 16 here. We have Tyros. It's a Darth Tyros on the thing. Versus Zugu Royale. Shout out to Bobby 3005. We need to bring back the real Apple alt. That's the real alt we need back from Zugu. Bring back real Apple. The best alt of all time. Alright, we see another Regirock. Regirock goes round 3, it looks like, in both of the drafts that we saw. Zugu drafted a team of Pokemon. Man, dude. I feel bad. Kaz was telling Zugu to not draft these guys. He was telling him not draft these Pokemon. I think Kaz gave him like a monologue, like a full speech of why to not draft fucking Hitmontop. And Zugu came back and put Hitmontop in for the draft. So, yeah. Expert drafting there, unfortunately, for Zugu. But, I mean, this team is interesting, right? Like Melodic, Claydol, Umbreon, like, is a good defensive core. Heracross can make progress here. Celebi does like break for Heracross a little bit here, but this team is just a little bit better. Is going to be better, right? Like Snorlax, Swampert, Regirock, Blaziken, Venusaur, and a Spiker in Cloyster, right? Like this team is just clearly, unfortunately, a step above what Zugu has going on with his team. Straight for the Body Slam, we do get the Para. It is Lumberry though. Good to note, as it looks like Tyros just wants to stay in, gets a Toxic off here. Kind of knows that, like, I guess with the Toxic, even if it goes for the Rapid Spin or he starts Brick Breaking, and with the Explosion crit. Okay, so we guarantee a spike out of this sequence here against this team. But technically not, no. Let's not forget there is Rapid Spinning Claydol on the back. So we do have double Rapid Spin here for Zugu's side, which means that actually no spikes here the rest of the game. Now our Mawile is going to have to eat a Sleep Powder here. Probably the Pokemon you would choose on this board to get slept. If you're Zugu, especially where it's Sleep Talk. So really good for Zugu actually to get that thing slept, preventing it from anything else on his team from getting slept at this point in the game. And now Melodic's going to come back in, but like here's kind of the problem with this team, right? So Celebi and Heracross are in the back. It's really hard to get those Pokemon in. We try to boom to get the Celebi in, and we've done half to the Venusaur. Like that's just not the progress we want to make here, especially like without a lot of the tools. And Grumpig with the Trick's a Choice Band. Oh, and now it's Choice Banded into the Leech Seed. That is super unfortunate here. We're going to get our Mawile back in, hopefully to put some pressure on this Venusaur. The Leech Seed does get off, and maybe we Sleep Talk here. We do Sleep Talk in SD. Okay, we're probably Rest SD or something. Rest Sleep Talk SD, or maybe we're just predicting Sleep Powder here. We do Sleep Talk the Body Slam +2, and we get the crit. I'm not sure if the crit mattered. I'm not going to tell you. I know my regular Mawile +2 calcs against Blaziken off the top of my head. But now we get Celebi to come back in on Lax. Now this is CM Leech Seed now, but unfortunately this thing does have the Choice Band, which is going to like really severely limit the impact and the functionality, to like limit what this thing's going to be able to do the rest of the game. Grumpig missing the Toxic, a little bit unfortunate, but this thing you assume has to have Refresh. I mean, that's just what Melodics run, right? Like this thing has like 5 moves that it ever runs on a frequent basis, Refresh being one of them. And now I think at this point we're kind of going to be into a little bit of a long, elongated battle here, right? Where we're going to, at this point, Zugu really only has defensive pieces left. His last Pokemon is probably Heracross. Well, I guess he doesn't only have defensive pieces, right? He has offensive options, but one is a Slept Mawile. One of them is Celebi. Oh, that thing's just going to get crit by a Body Slam. That's nasty work. And Heracross is going to come back here. We see a Body Slam here. Do we get Para? No Para. So now we are at +2. This Brick Break is going to kill. Crit may be mattering there depending on how all the sets play out. And then we do see a big hidden power there to pick that off on the Revenge Kill with the Pinsir. And this Ice Beam, is helping pressuring the Venusaur. And we are outspeeding, actually, so we do kill this. So in theory, like, if we weren't, like, choice locked in, we would be in a fine spot. The problem is this thing's going to SD, and if it has leftovers, it's out of the 2 KO range. Ooh, the Endure is a problem, though, as this thing is going to get up to +1 with Salac. And it is Flail. Oh my god, wow. Flail at 1 HP. It's hard to see if Zugu responds, right? What his reactions are, because he's freaking locked. But yeah, +2 Salac Flail obviously just cleans out the rest of this team, so... Good in there for Tyros as we get through all of the top 16 games. And we got 4 top 8 games now. So shout out to a really, really good top 16. Like, I love the redraft is such a great part of this tournament. I know that like certain other places really dislike it and has been like poorly received elsewhere, but I think it's a really, really great part of this tournament. And I think a lot of these teams have been super fun to watch. So as we get into the top 8 of this tournament, make sure, if you haven't already... Oh no, we're not done yet. Spreek versus Tretufo. Whoops. Almies completely can screw that up and got through. We're at the... Yeah, you know what? We'll do that whole spiel for the last game of top 16. Why not? I thought we had gone through all of them, but we do have one more. Spreek versus Tretufo. It's funny, the Tretufo is like basically a better version of Zugu's team. We do have Ninjask here, which Ninjask is not good, obviously, but... Like, Miltank is obviously a much better addition to have Entei and Kingdra provide more offense for this team. Spreek's got a team that I would love to draft. Besides, I would actually fuck with Hitar on this team. I think Tyranitar, like, I love these, like, Registeel, Gengar, Glalie, Moltres kind of teams. Super up my alley. And we see SD Tentacruel lead off here. Is going to take 1,000,000 damage from this return, but is going to be forced out, and we get crit on the Miltank. That's tough, especially where this Miltank might have had the ability to outspeed. Okay, are we just going to lose this now? Hidden Power Flying comes out here. Do we just lose? Do we lose? No, this thing lives, right? I feel like we just go to Entei, right? Because we know it lives. Wow, Iron Tail is putting risk. I would have clicked return there every time. Yeah, I don't know about going Heracross there because this thing's got a lot of speed given that it outsped your Entei, right? So I feel like you just go back into Entei, you outspeed in return and like save your Heracross for later. Not 100% sure about that one. But really, really good lead set, right? Like you basically just knock 3 Pokemon out of the game off rip. We do see Sub Rain Dance here come out of the Kingdra. But Kerr's Registeel is going to be a real problem for this team to deal with the rest of the way. And now Earthquake is just going to be able to continue to break through these substitutes. Surf, dealing a lot, 39% is a lot, right? You're actually, funnily enough, doing equal damage to the Registeel. But the Registeel is going to have so many more tools to actually get through this sequence. And we do see it pick up the kill here. But, like, if you look at this, like, this is our answer, right? Is going into Melodic. And we just go for the boom. Instead of trying to heal it off, we just boom. Boom off the rest of the damage, and now we're Celebi last mon. CM last mon is actually pretty good here, obviously, right? Like, you could be able to see him and win. Oh, okay. I guess that won't help. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's a nasty game. I think maybe we move on from that one. That was... Talk about a hacksy game. That certainly was not one that Tretufo was given much of an opportunity to play in that one. So now, all right, now I waffled at the start. We're actually into the top 8 now. So really good top 16 games. Obviously, the last one left a little bit to be desired. A little bit to be desired on the hack side, but We got McMegan versus Jeroni. McMegan, obviously one of the best Pokemon players of all time, versus Jeroni, a former champion of the Emerald Open. So kind of really highlighting the level of talent we have here in this tournament. We see Tauros lead versus Hypno. We see big counter lead here with the Hypno. Just leads off, trades like 48% of your HP on Hypno, which you can easily get back with leftovers and protect for a full Tauros. So dude, Tauros is getting its ass beat. He got counter led against Absol and now got counter led against Hypno. So 2 weeks in a row, counter lead against the Tauros. It looks like, dude, everyone's just in Jeroni's head right now. Tentacruel coming back in on the Arcanine. Scouting a little bit here, or just kind of making a play here going into Zapdos, as obviously these Thunderbolts are going to do an infinite amount of damage to the Zapdos. Obviously going to put yourself at low HP on McMegan's side. Now Zapdos is going to come up, man. If I'm without Baton Pass and I bring a Nidoqueen, I'm probably praying that thing isn't Dugtrio. The Dugtrio, to a certain extent, has not a lot of utility here. I mean, what are you trapping with Dugtrio necessarily? So it kind of makes sense it's not here. It's hard to trap Starmie sometimes. It could definitely be teched out with a lot of bulk for you. You can't trap the D-Knight. You can trap the Arcanine, I guess. Fortress is really hard to trap, and like your team is okay versus it anyway. Can't ever trap the Sceptile. Tauros obviously is counter-letting against. I guess that's like the Nidoqueen, right? But you can just like pressure that with the Glalie here on the Baton Pass anyway. And that gets you up some spikes. All right, so we do see a boom here. Does about half to the Fortress. Puts it in a spot where it's really not going to be able to Rapid Spin here. With the Zapdos in front of it. But it elects to go for that. Playing around. I mean, like the Thunderbolt would have killed there, potentially, depending on the rolls, right? So just really just going for the spin there. You know, predicting. I don't even think predicting the substitute, right? Just like saying, this is an opportunity for me to get a spin. They're probably going to predict to do something else. But it looks like we do have the Dugtrio actually in the back here. So electing to go to Glalie the first time to try to force up spikes. Allure, kind of a false sense of confidence to bring the Nidoqueen in again in that spot. And then it gets picked off by the Dugtrio. So now we see Dragon Dance, a D-Knight come out here. We do see a Toxic come out. No Lumberry here. So this thing is going to be put on a timer here, but it is Heal Bell actually to get all that HP back. And now you're, I mean, given this set, right, Toxic Morning Sun, you're just going to be able to DD all over this Scizor. I mean, just kidding. This is Iron Defense. Scizor, it turns out. So I guess you're playing for a crit at this point if you're on Jeroni's side, right? Like that's kind of what you have to play for here. Now you are going to be able to get to +6. Which is, you know, at least luckily enough, right? Like that shouldn't be a problem. And you do have Arcanine here. And it looks like he's just going to go for crits here at this point. There's no real reason to Dragon Dance up past this. The only way you're breaking through this is with the crit. So you might as well start going for it now. Obviously choosing Wing Attack here. I guess Aerial Ace not needed, and it's got much, much more PP. So you definitely have the time to just kind of like attack this Pokemon forever until it like eventually gets crit. Because like I mean at a certain point you are just kind of odds on to get the crit in this sequence, especially with the Heal Ball right now. If he goes through all the Heal Balls without getting crit, this does make this a little bit harder. A free turn to Wing Attack here off the Toxic is super nice. And we're still making the pressure here. I mean, getting rid of the Toxic is maybe an option. Like we've got one miss and one miss and like one hit into another Toxic that's already happened. But we have 3 Heal Bells versus 6 Toxics. Like it's just not something that I think we realistically have to worry about playing around at this point. We do have to like obviously keep our HP at a good spot. It looks like he's just gonna go for the attack, really trying to maybe stall it out, but like I think even if you're able to stall it on these turns, right, like it's just going to eventually like your HP is just so low here, getting hit with these hidden powers as well, that it's just not gonna work out for you. So like obviously our game plan is really still lean into getting that crit if at all possible here. Go for the Wing Attack, maybe trying to bait another Toxic here. But the hidden power just comes out here. And at a certain point, like, these Heal Balls aren't going to matter too much. So you Heal Ball off, see if they go for the Toxic. All right, this is your last chance to get the crit here. to win with this Pokemon specifically. And it looks like we've gotten through it if we're McMegan's side, right? Like there was a lot of, hold on, how many wing attacks did we click there? We clicked 21, so I don't think we were technically odds on at that point to get it, but like certainly we went for it enough times to get the opportunity to have that happen. So kind of survives a little bit. Arcanine obviously is going to come back out now. And now for Droney, right? Like we're definitely just winning with Starmie here. In this game, like this does look potentially good opportunity for Starmie. The problem is this Hypno, like this Hypno should be able to handle this Starmie, I think. So big Psychic there just kills off the Starmie, but oh, we do reveal Hydro Pump, which would have definitely been able to deal a lot of damage at Scizor. 37% to the Hypno, going for the Calm Mind, definitely going to be able to live the second one here. And now we just go for the Baton Pass. We don't even have like any like protector or any ways to heal it off like that. Hidden Power is going to come out here, kill the Starmie, and now we're left with Arcanine to like basically lock up this game. Now this thing doesn't have E-Speed, which means it should be able to pick off the Dugtrio. But it does look like, I mean, this might actually just have enough to win it, right? Arcanine should just be able to win this game at this point. E-Speed knocks out the Dugtrio. Zapdos is at super low HP. Goes into the Hypno on the Flamethrower. I guess trying to make a play here to get a little bit of HP back with the Zapdos. Oh, we do see the Paralyze. Oh, that could have been dicey there. But Flamethrower is going to pick up the kill. And Droney is going to move on into our top 4 of the winner set, of course. I think it's technically top 12 at this point, including the loser side of the bracket. But we're kind of focusing on the winner side of the bracket right now at this point. Awesome. We see more alts here that I don't recognize. I think kind of Mean Queen is sleepy. Everyone pulling out their best Zugu Royale impressions by changing the nicknames up on us mid-tour. Am I getting added in the server? I'm getting added for one of my own Draft League games. And there's an Emerald Open game live right now. But we won't be watching that. We're watching replays here in this game. Let's start off. I got the sides right. All right, so Miltank lead versus Hitmontop. Thunderwave early is going to make it a little harder for this Pokemon to Rapid Spin. I guess it's never going to move. It's just going to get paralyzed the whole time. We do see Thief, so Thief, kind of part of the knockoff kind of game plan, right? Where you just like use Thief to just like take away, leftovers, lower some of the effectiveness of these leftovers. Big Hidden Power, kind of on both sides, right? So Hidden Power on hold on, I read something in chat and got unlocked. Yeah, so Hidden Power here. So they trade, HP with Hidden Power, but the Dragonite is just going to be much faster, and we'll be able to kind of win on that exchange. So saving the Mischievous as a spin blocker, still obviously very, very important to this game plan. This is where like Pokemon like Lax, you really want to have spikes up to pressure the Pokemon as much as you can. We do see a Fire Blast come out here, really catching that Skarmory. It's not doing a lot here. Like you're still gonna, still in a little bit of a trouble, right? Like you're gonna be able to at least get a turn to move if you're Skarmory. Get up another spike if you want. Go for the Roar, and now you find an opportunity to get the spike up on the Credilli. So now, really, really important as well to keep the Mischievous up. 2 spin block to keep these 3 layers up. These 3 layers are going to be super crucial to the rest of this game. This Credilli just switched in, took 50% from a Miltank, right? And now with the Paralyze being spreaded, it's going to be really hard to actually get through this game now, especially if all of your Pokemon are just paralyzed, right? Like you're just not going to be able to like actually move half of the time. Ooh, we learned about Suction Cups. Shout out to Credilli Suction Cups coming up in top 8 of the draft. And now we see a big sub with Meganium on the Credilli, taking advantage of those free turns. But Credilli's just kind of sitting here. Uh-oh, barrier time. It looks like we're just going to try to stall this game out. And let the Hidden Power is not breaking the sub. So like, this is not like a super productive turn for the Credilli. Unless like we think like the Paralyze will help. Like the Paralyze might even help us PP stall technically. I'm not sure. Like we're breaking this. We need 2 Hidden Powers to break this sub. It looks like we're going to go into Misdreavus here. Interesting. I'm not sure about this entirely because you definitely want to protect this Pokemon as a spin blocker for the Hitmontop. Though we do go for the Pain Split, bring this Pokemon down pretty low. Get our Gyarados in for free. It looks like we're just switching around trying to stall this Pokemon out, I guess. S-Toss. Toxic Miss is pretty unfortunate. Though this might just have some sort of heal bell. But this Credilly, too, Cradiddy is a crazy name, by the way. Shout out to Credilly. Credilly has, Immense Aura. Now we see the heal bell, obviously, right? So, like, kind of showing why the Toxic not necessarily a big deal for this team. Now Credilly's finally oh my god, voice crack. Credilly's finally had enough. And now we're just going to go into Skarmory, go for the Drill Peck. Goes for the Hidden Power, no spin, so all the spikes are still up, which is big. And now Raikou is going to put pressure on this Hitmontop and kill it. So all spikes are up for the rest of the game here. Super, super important that from Sleepy's side to keep the spikes up. As Meganium's going to eat the Toxic here from this Lax. But we know we have Heal Bell, Miltank, and if we just go for Leech Seeds, right? Like the Leech Seed plus Spike is just going to win, like in the long term, pretty convincingly in this game. Go for the HP Ice here. Vaporeon comes out, obviously just trying to catch the HP Ice or catch a Miltank. Not really going to be making a lot of progress on the... Not going to be making a lot of progress, obviously, on the Meganium, even if it has Ice Beam, but... Now it looks like we're just going to go for the Pain Split. Get all that HP back. Go for the Wish again. Probably get this thing up to full HP. Thunderbolt obviously going to be nice to at least keep that HP manageable from the side of Sleepy. But we're definitely just kind of leveraging Pain Split to kind of deter the Wish here as best as we can. And we're definitely going to lose this Pokemon now. So go for the T-Bolt. Expect that Surf to come out. Good sequencing there. Keep this Pokemon low. This Pokemon is now dead to Spikes coming back in. And Vaporeon dealt with. Big Pokemon to get rid of there. Now Credilly comes back in, and this is the power of 3 Spikes here. This Pokemon is almost dead. 1 paralyzed. And it's really in danger here. You're basically going to be forced to recover pretty extensively here. Now you're not even going to be able to get into a situation to set up a barrier at all. But you are able to get up to full HP. So 1 paralyzed there. Not actually the death nail for this Credilly right yet. Obviously going for the Toxic. At this point, like, you have to start to try to stall this Miltank out of Heal Bells, and a few missed Toxics are not going to help out that cause at all from Evakiyama's side. Okay, well, I guess we're just never going to get rid of the Heal Bells from Miltank, I guess. It took, what, 4 Toxics to finally hit on this Miltank. We finally get the Heal Bell off, but, like, at this point, we're kind of running out of, like, the Toxics to actually force it. Like, we're at 6 to 8 here, which is super unfortunate, and we just keep getting paralyzed. So Hidden Power comes out, crit does 30%. Obviously, just trying to PP stall it at this point, right? Like, okay, well, I don't know what you want me to say at this point. We missed like a million Toxics here, and now like our margin for error to even PP stall this is 1. And I'm pretty sure like we're still like we'd get the 1 Toxic at the end, which would obviously be good, but we can't even guarantee it's against something that we want, right? So that's going to be really, really tough for this Credilly, but it's finally scared out. All right, we do sack off a Pokemon here. Vaporeon obviously died to the Spikes a while ago, so we're getting our Dragonite in here. HP Flying is going to do a decent amount to the Meganium, but okay, so they, we are able to at least pick off a Pokemon here potentially. Meganium is going to switch out, obviously, preserving it potentially as, more turns against this Credilly, which has proven to be difficult to break down. Now Credilly back into this situation where it has to recover, right? And like if paralyzes go against it, like we got to not get paralyzed here. We have not been lucky on the Credilly side at all this game. All right, and we are safe there. The recover pulls us to safety, but like we have not hit a single Toxic here where we need to in this battle. It's just been super tough sailing for Evakiyama. And kind of like her approach to actually like winning this game, right? Like the game plan was definitely sound to just like spam Toxic, and eventually you're going to wear through the heal bells on this Miltank. But if you miss like 5 in a row, right, like there's not really much you can do when then you basically have no Toxics to use after the fact. And that's if all of the Toxics even hit, which is hard to really say. We got a Toxic here, so we have 2 Toxics alive here. Heal bell is at 4 PP, so like we're still in like a good position with the Toxic PP at this point. But the problem is this Miltank can now sit and doesn't actually have the heal bell at any point. And if we get the paralyze here, then we're in trouble, but still safe at this point. The other thing to keep in mind is like we eventually do run out of like recovers and hidden powers. Now I will say we've been paralyzed a lot here, which has helped a little bit in the PP war. Yeah, 3 paralyzes in a row, especially where you can't click Toxic until the heal bells are gone. The problem is that we Toxic the Gyarados and not the Miltank, so the Miltank actually never has an incentive to click heal bell, though it does heal bell there, interestingly enough. So you can like make the argument that there's no incentive to heal bell, and then like eventually like this thing will just like you'll be forced to Toxic the Miltank, and if you miss, it's pretty much done. Or at that point, which is like obviously tough. But now like you've Toxic the Meganium, and there's even less incentive to heal bell that off, right? So like to force the heal bell, you basically have to like throw away your extra Toxic that you would use after the heal bells are all done. So at this point, it looks like we're just going to start clicking Barrier and start just going through the motions of this Cradily just like trying its best to completely wall out Sleepy's team. But as I said, this game plan is super tough to actually enact unless like you hit any number of those Toxics before to waste the heal bell PP. I think we're at this point we can probably start to skip through. We've kind of litigated over this sequence a million times. And now because of the fact that there's such a risk to Toxic and the fact that like you can just substitute on paralyzes here. Yeah, we've seen like a million paralyzes as well, which has not been helpful. And now Gyarados is just able to DD to like a million, right? Which is just not great. Obviously go for the substitute here. If you get paralyzed again, like you take that advantage, obviously. And you're not even breaking the substitute on this. So at this point, obviously this thing is at +4 defense. So this is only bringing you back into like neutral. But you're obviously the beneficiary of like any sort of crit that happens here is super powerful for you. We also have to like take a look at how many hidden powers are left, right? There are 9 hidden powers left, and you're taking 2 on each of these substitutes. Like you are at some point just going to be able to stall out potentially these hidden powers. And in between each of those opportunities, we get free shots to deal damage to the Cradily here. So Cradily now at 6 hidden powers, at decent HP, but we're just going to switch out, continuing that PP stall effort here. Trying to, you know, if we remove all the hidden powers, then this thing really just can't do anything. We finally see a Toxic here and this Pokemon switch out here. We see a heal bell used, but we kind of have used enough Toxics at this point that this Cradily is just not going to be effective at actually winning the game here. We've gone through so many hidden powers, so many Toxics, so at this point, I think the game is pretty much over. And that's how it looks like it's going to play out here. We get a Toxic on the Miltank. So we are going to get to a point where like we actually do get rid of all the heal bells. Subtile does come out here now. But like we still have Raikou and Gyarados in the back. Like Raikou still has a really, really good opportunity to win this game. And it looks like Miltank, rather than heal belling off, it's just going to be like, let's turn the corner and actually win this battle here. We see Pataya come out here, interestingly enough. But this thing is, you know, at this point, it's not going to be able to get a leech seed at the end of the turn. It's going to elect to kill. And this thing is certainly going to be in range of Raikou, HP Ice. And you would expect this thing to live? Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a close calc, right? But Raikou definitely has the bulk to be able to live that Leaf Blade, even at Overgrow. Excuse me, from the Sceptile. And now, like, you do have the Miltank out of the way, right? So now you have 2 Toxic PP to actually kind of throw your weight around a little bit, and a nice switch in here into the Dragonite. So Dragonite's going to be able to pick off this Meganium. The problem is this Raikou does kind of have the inevitability at this point to win this game with the hidden power. there's not really much we can do at this point. I guess it is going to elect to switch out, trying to get a Toxic off there into the already Toxic Raikou. We do have 1 Toxic PP left. So that's obviously really, really good for the Cradily player, for Ebikiyama there. I mean, if they click Toxic and got paralyzed, it's actually pretty, pretty good. And now we see the barriers. So at this point, Cradily might actually potentially be able to pull this off. I guess at this point, you're trying to go for a crit here. Try to keep this Cradily's HP as low as possible. In comes Raikou on the Hidden Power. These Hidden Powers are not doing a lot either to this Pokemon. And it looks like we're just going to start intimidating. Maybe even try to bait some Toxics. A little 13% paralyzed. Not going to matter too much. As there should just be a little... Ebikiyama should just be able to recover this off, right? Ooh, crit's a little bit annoying, as we didn't recover on that turn. So this is going to put this Pokemon a little bit lower HP. But now we have 1 free Toxic PP. The problem is this is probably sub-CM. And yeah, this is now over. There's really nothing that the Cradily side can do to actually win the game at this point. You know, a Valiant... Alright, and the crit, why not? And just send the game off on a crit note. What a game that was. Cradily showed so much in that game to bring it to that point, but like the inevitability of Raikou was just unfortunately too much at that point. All right, we got Violet River versus Mana, one of our last 2 games of the stream. Let's get into this one. Raikou lead versus the Moltres. A decent lead for Violet River, but obviously Chansey is such a free switch in at this point that you want to use it as an opportunity to get your Ursaring in as much as possible. We just see a spike gets set up. We're trying to focus punch here. Net 26 HP, percent HP. I mean, I guess that's fine, right? This thing isn't even breaking the sub. So like you're actually probably content with this sequence of damage being done here. The Body Slam should, yeah, definitely breaks the sub at this point. But you've dealt so much damage to this Fortress. And they're just going to be able to get a sub up if you want to focus punch through it again. But taking an opportunity to Odor Sleuth to prevent this thing from spin blocking. And now you just get a free rapid spin. The spikes are gone. Fortress is at low HP. It makes it more difficult to get the hazards up as much as you can. And now you're able to get your Gengar in and force a free turn here for Fortress to get a little bit of HP back, right? Because you want to start getting that HP. You want to start getting that HP to start setting up spikes over the course of the game again. Would have been interesting to focus punch or substitute it again there just to like kill this Pokemon off. And now we go for the boom with the Fortress. Get this Donphan to low HP and make it really difficult to ever see a rapid spin the rest of this game. S-Toss comes up from the Gengar, not obviously the most offensive move you've ever seen from a Gengar. And we see Taunt here, prevent, substitute, return, obviously predicting a switch here, right? Like you know, I could see the vision. Oh, HP goes into counter. Wow, this Gengar really just kind of leaning in on the utility here. Just picks off the Ursaring. Really, really good prep there on Mana's side. Now Gengar, so much value here. Just spin blocking, scanning here for the Thunderbolt, and that is the last move. So now we know that Donphan walls this well, it doesn't obviously wall, right? Because you have S-Toss last. And now we know that this thing, dude, Gengar got so much value this game. Obviously, like you had to scout with Donphan on the Thunderbolt here, and now you can't even get a rapid spin the rest of the game. Great value here. And now you have Chansey to wall out this Raikou, which is going to be going for try to go for game a little bit with Calm Mind. Now Calm Mind is going to run into Toxic Chansey. Just go for the Toxic again here now, which is going to be a pretty difficult to turn, right? And we still probably have a Regirock in the back, which can defensively deal with this Raikou as well. Shout Confused Ray here from Starmie on the Calm Mind Slowbro. The Thunder Wave, obviously we can switch out, but that's not going to deal a lot of damage anyway. That's not going to do much anyway, right? Because we have the natural here, not super relevant. And now we just see an S-Toss here. The confusion ends. We are going to rest this off. Okay, so rest Slowbro does give us actually an angle here with Calm Mind that we're probably Water Stab or something here. Yeah, I guess we're some sort of stab at least. Water Stab at least looks to make the most sense. And just go for the Thunder Wave on the Chansey. Gives us a speed advantage, most importantly. Get a Calm Mind off. And now the Toxic comes out, and we're just going to be able to rest this off. So, another potential really long game here with a rest, Calm Mind, Slowbro here. Trying to take advantage of this Chansey the best that it can to get a setup opportunity. But we do see the Medicham come out here as the final, which means that like something like a Choice Band Shadow Ball or just Shadow Ball in general is going to be able to 2 a KO from this range. And now Slowbro kind of just dead here the rest of the game. And we get a crit. Why not? A crit for good measure here on the Gyarados. We see a big Dragon Dance, obviously trying to take advantage of the fact like this 12-one's low HP. We got to do something with it now. That is not going to kill. Starmie obviously has a lot of opportunity to run free bulk in a lot of matchups. This one looks like a pretty good one to run a lot of bulk in as well, right? Like your only speed time, the Raikou, and then the next one is Gyarados at 81. So definitely a lot of bulk opportunity for the Starmie there. And now at this point, like the Slowbro is basically kind of dealt with. You still have to deal with this Raikou though, but you have so many tools here, right? Between the Chansey, you have Medicham to pressure it offensively. We do bring the Moltres in here, which is interesting to catch that Wish. We haven't seen any sort of substitute come out from this yet. Though given that it's Protect, I expect that we might. And the fact, yeah, it's switching out here now. So maybe our game plan is to like... Our game plan can't even be to stall out Toxics. Like, that's just not a possibility, unfortunately. Curse, Crobat is interesting. White Herb, okay. So now we got... Uh-oh, and that's not going to kill. We're going to counter here. No. That's a fire set. Doesn't even kill the Gengar. Bulky Gengar coming out to play here. That's a fire set. White Herb, Curse to remove that speed drop. Try to go, because that could have had a chance to go for game here a little bit here. Certainly. And Raikou still has a lot going for it. The problem is that, you know, obviously this, you know, that would have been a potential chance to go for Toxic here. Go for the Calm Mind. But the problem is you're going to get hit with this Toxic here. And at this point, like, we're not rest, right? So you're going to have a real difficult time breaking through this Chansey at this point. I think our best bet is just to go for as many Calm Minds as we can, go for a crit on the Chansey, and just win the rest of the game that way. But given where we're at this point, basically just over there. Yeah, not much really we can do as soon as we get Toxic. That was kind of an inevitability without substitute, unfortunately. But good game there. I guess Slowbro can kind of do something, but yeah, as soon as you get into Medicham, Shadow Ball just kills that Pokemon. And it's a good game for Mana. So we have 2 of our Emerald Open champions making their way through the tournament at this point. Now we have Tyros versus Spreek to end off our stream, our final battle, our first stream back. It's been a while since I've streamed or really made any content at all on YouTube. So appreciate everyone who's kind of stuck around and enjoyed the stream. We'll be back. I don't know how many of these streams I'm going to do to end. We'll definitely do like semis and finals, I think. We'll try to do those live. The finals we'll definitely do live, but we'll see what we do the rest of the way here. But definitely, you know, maybe some more YouTube video stuff rather than stream stuff. Just where I'm going to be playing in a million leagues now to start this month, and the Magic Regional Championships for Canada are coming up. Big focus punch here. Not going to be able to pick up that T-Tar, unfortunately. Moltres is going to come in here to eat that focus punch. Hidden Power breaks the sub. Problem is that Body Slam's doing a lot, and if we get paralyzed, that is tough business there for the what's it called? Tough business there for the Snorlax. But Grumpig comes in. Big Grumpig takes 1 million damage. We got to see a Morning Sun here. We don't. Cloyster just comes in, and Moltres goes down. Moltres did a lot of HP there, though. Over 100% worth of HP. So you definitely take that from the Moltres side. And Hidden Power, Grass or Electric, probably Grass, I would imagine, comes out and just completely kills off that Cloyster. So really, really good turn sequence there for the Glalie here. And the Lumberry coming to good use there, getting up a free spike in the face of the Regirock. And now Big Quagsire is able to come out and just wall out that that Regirock. Probably an ill-advised counter. I think Venusaur is such a free switch there, so probably was never going to get value clicking counter there on that turn. And a sleep pattern miss is really unfortunate here, because now you get a free Ice Beam out of the Glalie. start to put pressure offensively on that Regirock's HP. And now you would expect this thing to have rest, right? Especially given the fact that we don't see leftovers revealed. And an Earthquake comes out, picks off the Grumpig. So Spreek picking up a few kills early here. Obviously, the Lax is going to be a little bit of a problem, but we definitely are going to have access to Gengar in the back. And there we see the Gengar in the back, making a big double switch in here. Picks up the Snorlax. And now we just go hard here into Quagsire. Obviously scouting the Shadow Ball. A little spit after drop. Obviously that doesn't matter because Snorlax and Shadow Ball are both physical Pokemon and physical moves. Oh, we see a Body Slam here. That actually puts it in range of the Sandstorm damage from the Earthquake from Quagsire. Actual real damage coming from Quagsire here. Pretty massive. And now we see a Curse here on the Earthquake. The problem is this is probably HP Grass on Glalie, right? The problem is Glalie's asleep, so you got to wake up here. But I think a sack there is a reasonable. Gengar comes out. You assume this Gengar has to have a move here for this specific situation. We see a Hidden Power. That's got to be Hidden Power Grass, right? Surely Hidden Power Grass is going to come out to put the Swampert out of its misery. There we go. Goodbye, Swampert. I think Gengar should be able to clean up most, if not the rest of this game, right? We probably have Psychic for this Venusaur. Yeah, there we go. 3 HP, or 3%. So you are going to be able to get the sleep off on this Gengar, but the problem is Regirock lasts him on against something like Quagsire. Really just not a tenable situation, unfortunately. Not something that's going to go well for the Regirock side of things. And it looks like Spreek is going to be able to pull this one out. We go for the boom there. Hey, take a kill for the road. And then Spreek pulling out that one. So pretty quick game. We had a lot of kind of, a wide variety of games here. Very quick games. Some very, very long, drawn-out games, but a good day of battling nonetheless. Thank you to everyone who came out to today's stream, watching the top 16, top 8 games. I'll probably do a stream going through almost most of Loser's Bracket at some point. As I said, I got a lot of Draft League games going on. I think I'm in 5 leagues/tournaments at this point, and the Magic Regional Championships are coming up. So a lot going on that will prevent these streams from being as frequent as they will be. The one I will guarantee is we will definitely have a stream for finals. That will be awesome. Finals should be in a couple weeks at this point. The only concern I have is I could technically, in theory, be out of town for that. Let me confirm that. There should be a schedule in staff chat. Even if I technically am, grand finals are due the 18th. Okay, yeah. So I'll definitely, that is a week before I head out. So we are good, chat. I would have done the stream, obviously, from the road as well, but that's obviously not as good as doing it at home. So thank you to everyone who tuned out. Next videos we have a draft analysis coming up next weekend for the new Wi-Fi draft league that we're in. And then we have another draft analysis going up for another league that we're in the Wednesday after. A lot of content coming out, so all the draft leagues are starting back up again. So get subscribed, like the video or the stream if you haven't already. That's all I have for today. We'll see you all next time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all later.